Hello and welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, if you're returning, welcome back. We are getting into Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This is going to be an added feature of this channel, something that we do in line with our trading psychology and just trading reviews, trading mindset. I want to get into financial literacy content, the 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 information on what to do with the money that we're going to make, whether it be through trading or other avenues, whatever discipline earns you a lot of money. You want to know what to do with the money once you get it. What led me to this is, one, I don't really see too many people talking about this or this type of content being readily available. I would have loved, again, for me to start getting into trading and making money management. I would have loved to have come across video like this or a series like this. So hopefully this helps, because again, it would have helped me a couple years ago when I first started. I always had questions before I got into trading. I always had questions. How do I make more money? Because at the end of the day, we all want to live a comfortable life. Maybe not all of us want to be rich. That's fair. But you want to live comfortably. You don't want to struggle. Nobody wants to struggle. It's not a rite of passage. If you don't have to in certain areas, then you shouldn't. I was working 9 to 5. I watched my father work and work and work and work. Yeah, he made good money, but it didn't provide the type of lifestyle that I would want as an adult. So again, after football, I wasn't NFL money. I wasn't super well off. I held a couple jobs and I had no problem working. I would work. As stated in my Y video, the first video on this channel, I never had a problem working. But it was more like I would do the math after a while. I'm like, okay, I'm try to save my way to financial freedom. Try to like put money in the bank, don't spend money on this, save, save, save. But as life goes, things happen, emergencies, whatever. Like you dip into that money to pay for X, Y, Z. So me just going to work and getting paid and having two jobs at a time, or when I was working at the hospital working 16-hour shifts, it just too much of my time was being taken from me and I wasn't being compensated financially. And the old adage is time equals money. I used to believe that until I got into trading, until I hit that swing trade, until I saw plus 6,000 go into that account just from 9:30 market open, completely changed my brain chemistry. So I realized that no, time can be money, but time doesn't have to be money. If you acquire a skill or discipline and you perfect it, time actually won't equal money. Or if it does, it won't be time equaling money as in a salary. It will be time equaling money for you to talk about whatever your experience is. And then you get to set your rate. You don't accept the rate, you get to set your rate. So when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, a lot of things made sense to me, like dots connected for me. How the rich keep making money, how financial status, or like your financial class, be it poor, middle class, rich, upper class, wealthy, whatever you want to call it, those aren't necessarily uh, money numbers. It's not about the amount of money that you have. It comes down to the information you possess, how you apply it, how consistent and how disciplined you are in it. You ever see those people that make a lot of money that are rich and they go broke and they don't seem like super shook up about it? Now, of course, we get the other ones that harm themselves whenever they lose a certain amount of money. But for the most part, when rich people lose it all, if you ever see them talk about it, they're like, yeah, I lost everything and blah blah blah. But it's like they're not really too broke up about it. Reason is because they know how to get it back. Once you learn how to do it, you can never unlearn how to do it. You can always get it back. You could lose it, you get it back. There are millionaires out here who have gone broke, and they do interviews all the time. Have you ever been broke in life? They go, yeah, man, I've been broke 4, 5, 6 times in my life. I've lost it all multiple times in my life. The reason why they're rich is not because of the dollar amount, it's because of the information that they possess. If they lose it all, they can go back and get it. They can get it again and again and again because they figured out how the system works. And this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, was my introduction to how it all works. So we're going to get into it. They don't teach us this stuff in school. Well, I'll speak for me. They didn't teach me this stuff in school. No school I went to didn't teach me about credit. They didn't teach me about mortgage, high yield savings. None of that. I was a psychology major in college. They didn't talk about those things. And imagine for the people who don't go to college, they don't talk about the information is here, it's available, but it's not put up front. School teaches us how to be professional earners and professional workers, not really to be financially literate and financially free. They want us dependent on a system that's slowly phasing us out. Us as people, us as workers, it's slowly phasing us out. You look at AI, you look at just the state of things as of 2025, whatever your affiliation is, you look around, it's getting spooky. For most of us, it's getting spooky. If you don't have a skill or a discipline, if you don't got that, it's scary out here. This book unlocks something in me, and I want to get into it. We're going to start with chapter one. I'm excited. Let's go. So, chapter one starts off with Robert in Hawaii as a child. His dad was a professor. He made good money, and he lived in a really good neighborhood. He was doing well enough to live in that type of neighborhood, but not well enough to participate in the activities socially. So a bunch of his neighborhood friends had got a beach house. Robert wasn't invited because Robert was looked at as poor, like, your dad make money, but, not that type of money. You got enough money to live here. You don't got enough money to play here, if you will. That ain't really sit right with Rob, so he went to his dad about it. And his dad told him, if you want to change that, you got to go make some money. That ignited the hustler and Rob. So what Robert and his friend Mike did was start counterfeit nickels, starting to actually make money in a literal sense. When Robert's dad found out what him and Mike was doing, he shut the operation down. You can't do that. That's illegal. The 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 humor in that part is that it's relatable because when you don't know how to do it, you'll try to find a way or make a way. If you got that drive in you, oftentimes that leads to crime and illegal activity because you don't know the other way to get it. So you get it the only way you know or the way you come up with. And again, usually that's crime. So after that, Rob's dad tells him to go to Mike's dad, who is an entrepreneur. He owns some businesses. Like maybe Mike's dad could put you on instead of you counterfeit nickels. You could get some money. So Robert goes to see Mike's dad to have a conversation, and Mike's dad ends up giving Robert and Mike a job at one of his convenience stores once a week, 10 cents an hour, 3 hours. So 30 cents a week. That's the start off pay. That's what you're gonna get. Rob was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna try it out. So they end up trying it out. Now, Rob liked comic books. So when he would get paid, he would get a comic book, get two comic books. After a while, the the satisfaction of being able to buy his own comics didn't really sit well with him. So he was thinking about quitting. He talked to Mike like, probably gonna quit, I don't wanna be here. Mike was like, okay, well, my dad said that when you felt that way, go see him. So he goes to see Mike's dad, and Mike's dad in this, to preface, Mike's dad is the rich dad in the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. Robert's dad is the poor dad in the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. It's gonna make sense in a little bit, but right now I'm gonna refer to Mike's dad as Rich Dad and Robert's dad as Poor Dad. So I don't gotta say Mike's dad or Rob's dad. So when I say Rich Dad, Mike's dad. Poor Dad, Robert's dad. Robert is our main character. So Robert's about to quit the job at the convenience store. He goes to see Rich Dad. Rich Dad has other people that work for him. So Rich Dad has Robert waiting in the waiting room or the living room, wherever they was, have Rob waiting for an hour, a long extended period of time. Everybody else left. Rob's still sitting there just waiting to be called, waiting to be called. Rich Dad eventually calls Rob in there. Rob comes, sits down. You get to talking. Rob's furious. Like, you have me waiting here. You was going to show me how to make money. Blah, blah, blah. You pay me 30 cents a week all I could buy is a comic book or two. Like, this is a real money. This ain't about to get me no beach house invite. Rich Dad, what I learned in this chapter was that Rich Dad taught by life lessons, not by words. You could get lectured all you want. Until you go through it, you'll never really get the lesson. I know that personally. I'm hard-headed, very hard-headed individual. So I could be told something over and over and over again. If I'm not being receptive, it'll have to happen to me. And then once it happens to me, it's like, oh, lesson learned. We're not about to do that. I'm becoming less and less hard-headed as I get older. I'm being more receptive, more absorbent of information, secondhand information. So I don't got to go through it firsthand. So I don't got to get that firsthand wisdom, that firsthand experience. So proud of myself on that. The lesson that Rich Dad was teaching Rob is that the workforce is going to be disrespectful. If you come to somebody and you have no leverage and they're giving you money for a job that anybody else could do, they don't gotta respect your time. They'll call you on the how you sitting there waiting, they'll play in your face, they'll do whatever because they can. Without leverage, you have nothing. You are at the mercy of your employer. It's not a good place to be. I wouldn't want to be there because again, they may treat you right. Your employer may treat you right, but they don't have to. They can disrespect you any type of way. So after that, Rich Dad agrees to show Mike and Rob how to make money. He let them come back to the convenience store and continue to work. However, he wasn't going to pay them. So now he wasn't getting the 30 cents a day that he was getting. He wasn't getting that 30 cents a week that he was getting before. Now he's working for free. The objective was for him and Mike to find a way to make money. Yes, you're working here, but use your head. Put your heads together and figure out a way to make money. The hustler in you is going to bring that about, especially if you have a need. So that's where you put them to the test, see what you do. After a couple weeks of not figuring out anything, Rich Dad comes to Rob and comes to Mike and it's like, all right, y'all haven't figured out anything. How about this? How about I pay you more? Because if you're worried about more money, I'll pay you more. I'll pay you this amount. The boys rejected the offer. Rich Dad raised the price. Okay, I'm gonna offer you this. They rejected the offer again. He raised it a couple more times, and each time he raised it, the boys rejected it because, again, they wanted to figure out a way how to make money. This set good with Rich Dad because he was like, all right, cool, you can't be bought. You don't got a price. I can't, like, buy you out of your hustle. Y'all gonna figure it out. A lot of people fold. The reason why a lot of people fold is because fear and greed. The fear of not having enough makes you work hard to make money. The greed, once you have money, you start buying stuff and spending money on this and that. And then before you look up, either the thrill is gone or you need more money to get more stuff. And that's when the greed kickbacks in. And then you stuck on this loop over and over and over and over again. That's why a lot of people live check to check. When you live for the weekend, you do stuff like that. It's like you work Monday through Friday or Monday, whatever your work schedule is, you work just to spend money or you work just to do something to take the edge off. A lot of people work and then after their work day or work week, they go to the bar, have a drink, indulge in whatever you want to indulge in. They do that as a means to escape the reality of the situation that they hate their lives. They hate the fact that they're chained to a thing or they got to do this or they got to do that or you got to work overtime. So you pacify yourself with certain things. Like again, any indulgence. It could be the bar, it could be a fancy restaurant that you want to go to, it could be a family vacation, it could be a movie, it could be a pair of shoes, whatever materialistic thing, whatever it takes that sting off and makes you feel a sense of accomplishment. Okay, I went to work, paid my bills, everything's taken care of. Now I gotta do something for me. Now I gotta do something to make me feel better about my life. So you do those things. That's not going to get you ahead. That's going to keep you on the same wheel, going round and round in circles on the fear and greed index. It's not where you want to be long term. Robert and Mike was figuring that out in real time as young kids. It was like, okay, if this is how it is to work and be at the mercy of an employer, I don't think we want that. What they ended up doing was, at the end of the month, the convenience store would throw out the old comic books because they needed room on the shelves for the new ones to come in. So what Rob and Mike decided to do was open up a neighborhood comic book library with the discarded comic books. So it was trash anyway. So they took the comic books, they created a library, and kids in the neighborhood would pay a certain amount of money to read for 2 hours, as much as they could. And at the end of that 2 hours, you either had to get out or pay the fee again, go back in for 2 hours and read. Now it was doing really good until a fight broke out. And then after a couple weeks, they had to shut it down again. Fight broke out, whatever. But once that happened, they figured out that they could use their brain over and over and over again to find new ways to make money. Wherever they saw a need, wherever they saw a problem, if you see a problem and you come up with a solution for said problem, you got yourself a business plan. You just got to flesh it out. And the boys learned that early by rejecting Rich Dad's offer to bottom out or keep them at a salary, putting their heads together and being creative, seeing a need and fulfilling that need. So in that chapter, Rich Dad discloses to the boys that he had over 150 employees. None of them ever came to him and asked him how to make money. They just relied on him for a job. And in that, that's what separated the boys from the workers that Rich Dad already had in employment. The the way that, again, the way that we're taught, you go to school, you get a good job, you look for job security, a job with benefits that pays well, and that's it. You depend on that job, you depend on that employer to finance your lifestyle. You depend on that one job. And in doing that, you lay yourself at the mercy of that employer. Anything can happen. A lot of these companies are at will companies. And what that means is they can fire you at any given time. Now, that's not saying for you to quit that job. What that's saying is that my allergies are kicking my ass. What that is saying is that you need to find something that works for you. You got to find something that can't be taken away from you. If a company is downsizing or consolidating or whatever it is, you got to find something for you. If you don't, you will be at the mercy of employers, again, in the system that is solely phasing out the worker. Let's say you got a job. Okay, when's the last time you've been to a convenience store and saw a cashier at every register, a physical person, an actual physical human cashier at every cash register? It's the last time you saw that. What do you see? You see self checkout, right? Last I can say this with confidence. I haven't been at McDonald's in over 9 months. I don't know, but the last time I was in McDonald's, you had the little kiosk up where you walk up, you just press the button, and then the order goes through. You pay right there at the machine, the food come out. These jobs, again, they're being phased out, and it's not just entry level jobs like a cashier, but those are the most obvious places that you see it. It's like, oh, the machines is taking this job, the machines is taking this job. What are you going to do if you haven't prepared, if you haven't acquired a skill or discipline that's going to supplement your income or build something for yourself that's going to work for you? You could find yourself in that situation. You could find yourself being replaced by a machine, by something fully automated, or just a company downsizing, positions being fused together. I remember the hospital I was working at, they were acquired by a big corporation, and they began to downsize. So things that we didn't have to do our work, we had to do, but the pay didn't go up. It was like, all right, this was your old responsibility, but this is gonna be your new one. And in this new responsibility, you got to do 1.5 times the work that you was doing before, but your salary's gonna stay the same. Yeah, because we're downsizing, so we're distributing a workload. You got to pick up more shifts. You got to pick up more work again, but not being compensated. I'm at the mercy of this corporation, so it's just like, damn, if I want to keep my job, I guess I just got to do it. I hated every second of it. Loved the relationships I built with the people that I work with. It was awesome, but the actual workload, the way it was orchestrated, it was like, yeah, they can really do what they want. I don't like that. And I'm sure that you can think of situations, if not personally, you know somebody in a certain situation like that, where people hate their job. or the more time goes by, the harder their job gets and more resources get stripped away, and the performance is expected to stay the same because you're at the mercy of your employer. Rich Dad taught Rob and Mike that very, very early on. They caught on quick before they got stuck in the rat race. A lot of people are stuck in this rat race. They stuck on the wheel of getting paid, spending to take the pain away, and then you back at it again. Can't get ahead like that. You stay stuck right under this level. Just you stay right below it. That's what a lot of employers want a lot of us. Again, it's not saying quit your day job. If you don't got something else lined up, if you haven't figured out a discipline, if you haven't figured out some legal hustle to supplement your income, to build something that works for you, that generates money for you, that you own, that's your own, don't don't quit your day job. A lot of people going to hear that and not do it because of fear. You get it in your head that, well, not me. I can't do nothing like that. I can't. You look up anybody that was successful that didn't get it handed down to them, like on some nepotism. You somebody that really started with nothing and ended up getting it. Look at them. Look at their actual story, not the glory part of it, but look at where they come from, what they had to do. They figured something out. They figured out a need. They fulfilled that need, and then it became something more. Again, everybody don't want to be a millionaire. Everybody don't want to be a billionaire, but you want to live comfortably. You certainly don't want to be at the mercy of a company or a corporation that don't care about you, that looks at you like a number. You don't want to be at their mercy because they can just up and get rid of you on what you're gonna do. That is what I got from chapter 1 of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Chapter 2 is coming soon. Like, subscribe, get in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know if you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad Chapter 1. Let me know the takeaways that you got from it. Let's get in the comments and discuss. Again, I would love to compare notes. And this journey will continue. And until next time.